Hello everybody, Megas here, welcoming you to a Stardew Valley challenge. Today we are going to be trying out something completely different. The goal of this challenge is going to be to make $1 million in year one without ever leaving your farm. Now for this, it's going to require us to have a lot of forageable items as well as just random islands. So we are going to do it on the beach farm, just because you can get some extra foraging items from the beach. I believe it includes the forest and the river one. And you can also get some freebie items from the shipwrecks. So that should be good. So we've got our guy, we're gonna call him Stay Home. And I'm thinking what we'll do is, you know what, I've gone with a cat for a few times, so we will go with like a Doberman-esque dog. And our favorite thing is gonna be being alone. So yes, we cannot leave the farm. We are only going to stay on the farm, nowhere else. So let's get into it and let's see how it goes. Now, immediately when this challenge started, I was like, this is going to be so simple. The farm will have a bunch of crops that I can find. I'll be able to cut down every tree, forage for anything. And especially with it being the beach farm, I was like, well, I will end up getting all of the crates that I need and everything along that line. Now, I decided to try chopping down some trees, going through and actually planting the crops, the parsnips that you get, as well as just basically searching for mixed seeds that you get from certain different patches of bushes and weeds. And I was hoping that this would be enough to sustain me and potentially get some of the perennial style crops that I could get early on in spring. Now this was a big gamble. I was kind of hoping that even then, as I ranked up through foraging, that I would potentially even hit rank 10 very early on and be able to transition into selling wood for more and finding hardwood within trees. This was a lot of the plan I was going with initially, is I would cut down some trees, replant the trees, and that would end up getting me more money because I would be leveling up foraging. Then I would be able to transition that. This might not have been the best plan initially, because that not selling items right away and hoarding them does not allow you to get events such as Demetrius coming to your farm to potentially transition the cave into either allowing for bats or for mushrooms. Now, even though that happens, the money that you get from Demetrius for the different cave systems doesn't really equal out to be that much. It's, I believe, like 400 every couple of days, which is a decent, respectable amount, but not when you're going for 1 million right away. Can actually end up using the hoe to dig up a bunch of the grass and ground. Now, there is a cheat, it might have been patched out recently, that if you found where clay, the originating source of it, was on your farm, you could go diagonally continuously and there would always be a clay piece. I didn't want to use that. I didn't want to cheat on this challenge at all. I wanted it to basically be as fair and honest as possible. Now, I do have a couple of the mods on, such as Expanded and Ridgeside Village. Those are the only two major ones I have. There's no money-making ones, and there's none that expedite any sort of foraging or skill level up. Which, that was This did become a major pain, chopping down each individual tree. If you don't know, to chop down trees with your basic axe, it takes 10 hits. And then I believe the actual stump of it takes another 5. So this was like so time consuming. And I'm doing this every single time a tree grows. I believe I could get through like maybe 6 or 7 full trees before my stamina just starts running out, and I'm just like circling the drain with that. Now, I'm gonna tell you right off the bat, wood is not a viable source of income in Stardew Valley. Unlike the real world where a 2x4 costs like $8, this is $1. You're getting like $1 for each individual piece of wood, and I didn't realize that's how little you were getting off of that. So the tree farming wouldn't probably not have been as viable as I had hoped. What I was really hoping to get by digging in the ground was I was potentially hoping to get some copper ore. That way I could get Clint to visit, that way I could get a furnace, that way I could potentially transition that into being able to make taps. Now, this might work on the mountain one because you can get ore, but I am not sure of what the respawn rate is on those, or how often, or just how realistic that is. I believe resin and that kind of stuff from the trees actually sells for 250, but once again that takes 9 days. So it was more or less, for that to be viable, I think you would need an actual whole resin farm, which it's not going to happen if you can't get any sort of ore. Now, as I transition through different seasons and summer, fall, winter, there's really not a lot of differences in my routine. I'm more or less waking up during the morning, checking the outside perimeter of the beach to potentially hopefully find a couple of shipwreck chests or whatever they're considered. And from there, I'm just looking for those. Unfortunately, those are also, like, every farm has their stuff tied to how large your house is and what upgrade you are on. So when it comes to the beach and getting the treasure scavenging stuff, basically at level 1, you're finding survival burgers, you're finding maybe some coffee. You tend to find a lot of the small cherry bombs or mixed seeds. Now, the mixed seeds can be viable because there are the perennials that you can get, or the crops that'll continuously regrow. I don't think perennial is the right word for that, but there are the crops that will continuously regrow, such as corn, eggplants, and that. And while I do get a couple of those, most of the time it's just not helping out. Now, the one thing I will say that like cracked me up about this entire playthrough is there is the scene where Marnie drops off the dog that you can get. And I believe in mine, she came 20 days after I was already there. But I had never spoken to Marnie. Honestly, throughout this, I haven't spoken to anybody because I've been on the farm the entire game. So it was just like, hey, you like this dog? You got a lot of space here. Now it's time to give you this dog. And I was like, we've never spoken. Why would you drop off a dog to somebody you don't even know? Like, that seems very silly. That seems kind of a bad idea all around. But yeah, who knows? Maybe she was just like, I've got a dog. Just please take this dog. I don't care. Now, I do get kind of lucky in the end of summer / fall. I end up getting one of the corn and one of the eggplants. So I'm able to transition and keep using those for a couple months. Unfortunately, since it's one of each of those crops, it's just not going to make me enough money to actually, you know, keep this going and be sustainable. Like I said, my goal was to be able to build some of the machinery, but because I don't have access to any of the ores, I can't actually do anything to build them. So I'm stuck with a lot of great, you know, tappers, mayonnaise makers, that kind of stuff, but I can't actually do anything with them because I don't have a way to get ore. And without being able to even go to Clint, I can't actually do anything with that. So I'm stuck with this like tree farm idea. And I'm not even bothering building scarecrows. It just didn't seem like a valuable, use of my money. I tried to figure out, hey, would that help with the crops? Would it not? But since I'm getting so few crops, I just figured, whatever, risk it. If the bird comes and eats one crop, what's the point? It doesn't matter. Now, there are also a couple other portions where you can harvest blackberries and you can harvest salmon berries. Salmon berries, I believe, are in spring, and then the blackberries are later in summer, I believe, for 1 week. And, helps out a little bit with the monetary amount. Just a little bit, but once again, that wasn't the goal. I thought I could really transition with the wood because that is the most renewable source on the beach farm. If you can't leave the beach, it's the most renewable because you're always able to grow trees. You can't grow rocks, you can't grow any of the other real crops because there's no other way to take those crops and redo them with the seed maker. So it kind of is what it is with that. Now I tried to see if also I could end up using the wood to make planks or make anything that would, like the decorative stuff, but it doesn't actually increase the money value of it either. So that wasn't valuable as well. Now as I get through fall, I'm transitioning into winter, and I did not realize that in winter, none of the trees grow. I naturally thought that potentially pine trees would grow. I mean, I thought that would be viable, but they didn't grow, so I was kind of left with a bunch of saplings. So I ended up just basically harvesting all of them to get back the wood that went into them or the actual seeds, just to be able to sell some extra stuff. And at the beginning of winter, I just went ahead, I sold all my stuff basically. All of my crops, everything I've been collecting. I was curious to see how close I was. And yeah, it wasn't that good. I really thought that I would be getting a lot more money out of this. And it ended up only being 40 something thousand. So I ended up, after you do this scene, because I believe it's potentially 20,000 you have to ship to get Demetrius to come to your house, whatever. I ended up having him put the mushroom farm in, and for the last pretty much couple weeks that I had, because nothing could grow on my farm, I just was harvesting mushrooms, looking for the different scavenging stuff, and just kind of going about that and sleeping for most of the day, petting the dog, good stuff like that. So by the end of this, I ended up with a measly 50,000. I am heartbroken on that, but I don't think there's really a legitimate way to do it on the beach farm to make more money without being able to leave your farm. Potentially, like I said, I could have sold stuff immediately, maybe got Demetrius there a little bit earlier, and probably have boosted this up to potentially 60, 70. I'm not sure if mushrooms count as forageable in the cavern, so that might have also helped get me up to level 10. But I was able to hit level 8 or 9 before winter. So I don't think it would have changed it enough to make it super different. But this kind of debunks the fact you cannot make $1 million on the farm in the first year with just staying at the farm. And I have to say, I am glad that this challenge is over. This was way too much time and was an absolute nightmare. I will not do this one again, but I hope my pain and suffering was enjoyable for you guys. And if you enjoyed the video, please leave a like and a comment and a subscribe. Until next time, this is Red Mega saying I'll catch you later.